Hey, how is everybody doing today? I wanted to do a video for you today because I had two people call me today, two separate people, separate instances, call me talking about the market crash and that they feel that we're about to have a big downturn and have a big crash. And so I wanted to take a second to discuss it. Now, I just recorded a podcast today as well, in specifically about the upcoming crash and what everybody's saying is going to happen in our local markets. And so first off, I want to, if you don't know the podcast, it's the Ugly Truth About Real Estate Investing podcast. It's been out for a while. I just put them out every now and then, but I wanted to talk to you about the bust, if in fact there was a bust or a crash. And so there's an old saying in real estate, and that is real estate has a 10-year cycle, but a 7-year memory. They've always said that. It's a joke, but it's true, because even now you see things that happened that caused the bust back in 2007 that they clearly said this was a mistake we made. They're already doing that same stuff again. And so it just proves the point. They don't have a memory. Everybody's following the dollars and they don't remember exactly what happened and what could happen. So we want to talk about some things learned from that and things you can learn from if you were not investing back then, if you were not involved in the market, things you can learn from my mistakes and lessons that I've learned to help you along the way if in fact we do have a downturn. We've been saying it, hell, a year ago, I told my people, I said, listen, I think we're about to have a downturn coming now. We've done nothing but skyrocketed this past year. And so who knows if we're going to get another 2, 3, 5? Nobody knows. What we do know is we are in the longest bull run we've ever had in the history of our country. So odds are it's coming again, whether it's this year, next year, 5 years from now, we don't know. So what are some things that you can learn? What are some things that you can do differently? So first and foremost is avoid leverage. For those of you who are newer in real estate, or if you've gone to any seminars, any trainings, any workshops, read books, they almost all teach you to be leveraged. It's the grand master plan. Everybody's teaching, to be leveraged, and they'll constantly tell you the old story is if you have $100,000, you can buy one house for $100,000, or you can buy 10 houses with $10,000 each, and leverage the rest, right? And if the market just goes up 10%, what happens in that market cycle? If it just goes up 10% on the cash model, you only made a 10% return, but on the leverage model, you made 100% return. That's sexy. That's fantastic. Everybody goes crazy for it. What they don't talk about is if the market goes down 10%. In the cash model, you still have $90,000 in value. In the leverage model, you're wiped out. You have zero. But more importantly than that, what they don't talk about is what if it goes down 30% or 40% like it did, even more than that. Well, in the cash model, now you had $100,000 worth of value and now you have $60,000. But in the leverage model, you lost that entire $100,000 and now you owe $30,000 more than the property's worth on 10 properties. And so, yes, it sounds great. And in a perfect world, in a perfect market cycle, everybody loves leverage and it's fantastic. But nobody ever talks about what can happen if it goes wrong. And I'm not a pessimist by any means. I lived through it. I believed in the leverage model wholeheartedly. Like, I was its biggest fan. If you had spoken to me during that time, I would have been like, no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. But what happened is after everything busted, and I had 84 properties and I had about 30, 35 tenants overnight stop paying. And it wasn't that they were in real estate. I don't know if you remember, the whole market went bad. It wasn't just real estate market. The whole economy was going bad. So people stopped paying left and right. And now I have these properties that are occupied. I can't even fill them, but I'm going through eviction on multiple properties. And I had mortgages on all of them. And so for those of you who don't know the full story, I ended up losing about 50 to 55 properties to foreclosure, 50 to 55 of them. That's huge. And it's hard on me. I'm the guy that stops foreclosures. And so fast forward, I had 84 properties back then. Fast forward to today, I have 113 now, but I'm on a completely different program now, a program that nobody ever talks about. And that program is free and clear. And I know when people hear this, the first things that they say is, well, that's great. I can't buy free and clear because I don't have the money to pay for them. And the reality is, I don't pay cash for them either. Well, I do some, but for the most part, I don't. But what I do is I pay them off as quickly as possible. I'm boycotting everything that's been taught on this make $100, $200, $300 a month. And I'm paying them on, typically we pay off our houses in 5 years. That is a huge, huge difference than the 30-year plan that we're all taught. So I try them, pay them all off in 5 years. So some lessons learned now is I do not believe in leverage at all. I personally believe, which is something I was so against, I personally believe properties should be free and clear. And I know you guys can argue, and people always argue with me about it, and they will win the argument. In the end, you'll win the argument because the numbers don't lie, and the numbers tell you that you will make more money leveraging. So it's simple as that. The numbers don't lie. However, I learned from experience, from bad experiences, on what could happen if it goes the other way. And so this is what I tell people. I say, should you pay off your rental properties? I give you answers from a couple different people. Your accountant will tell you absolutely not. You're going to lose your biggest tax write-off, your interest deduction. So your accountant's going to say absolutely not, don't pay them off. But keep in mind, your accountant has one job, and that's to save you money in taxes. And this will not save you money in taxes. So yes, you're going to pay more in taxes, but you're also going to get more. So, yes, you pay out $1 in interest and you get to save yourself 30 cents. Here you get to keep the dollar and you have to pay out those taxes. Your lawyer is going to tell you, no, you don't want them free and clear, because if you do free and clear, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to be a magnet for lawsuits. People are going to see they're free and clear, and now they're going to sue you. And that's partially true. However, there's ways around that. We're not going to get into that on this video today. There are ways around that. There are ways to still protect yourself. You also have insurance, but there's also still ways to keep your title levered up without you having a mortgage to pay on. So we're not going to get into all that. Then most importantly, your calculator, as I already touched on, your calculator is going to tell you, don't pay them off. You make this money, and then you can leverage that, and you can make even more money, and it's all glamorous, all the money that you can make. But the calculator is missing a button, and this is what I always tell people, the button that it's missing is peace of mind. Your calculator does not have a peace of mind button. And so trust me, from the other end, we lost, I've been doing this business since 1994, and a good chunk of all the work I did up until 2007 was washed out during that bust. Started over, and now we're stronger than ever. Now stronger than ever. I have 113 properties. 47 of them are already paid off. All of them will be paid off at some point between now and the next 5 years. That's a huge, huge difference where I don't have to worry. I don't have to stress over what may or may not happen. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. So the next thing that I wanted to get into with you is going to be personal debt. And I know, again, people hate this, and they're like, no, Scott's crazy and don't listen to anything he says. The reality is I was into it. I had Cadillac Escalades. I had payments on all of them. I had a Cadillac XLR convertible. I paid $105,000 for. I had a payment on it. I had $100,000 in credit card debt. I was just, charging up all over the place. And in the end, that all comes crashing down. And I am a firm believer now. Now I'm the opposite. Now I have no car payments. My wife, no car. She's got a car. She's got a Lexus, no payment. I have no payment. We have no payments on anything. We have zero credit card bills, zero credit card debt. I do have a mortgage on my house, which will be done this year, 2020. But that's the only debt that I have, period. So if everything went to crap, I don't have any bills. I don't have to show up in the morning. I don't have to. If I had to take 6 months off or a year off, it doesn't matter. Nothing changes. And so it's hard to do, but you got to start thinking in terms of long-term and credit card debt, anything that's not appreciating, anything that we consider bad debt, anything that's not making you money needs to be eliminated. And it's a process, but you got to take it slow and get rid of it. One day at a time. The next thing is going to be keep cash reserves. And I know a lot of people hate this because they say, well, I don't have any cash. How am I supposed to keep cash reserves? The only way I'm going to get cash is by refining. And you just said, don't do that. So again, I know it's challenging, but you need to start thinking about it now because the market's great now. I mean, I know I've told you guys this already, but my Freedom Partners did $304,000 just in January in assignment fees. This month, we're already hitting $200,000. We still got a week left in the month. It's insane how good the market is right now. And so it's the time you need to keep this money because of the part that nobody seems to remember or think about when we do have these downturns. And that is, it is a buying opportunity. When we have a downturn, there's another way of looking at a downturn, and that is a buyer opportunity. People say, oh, it's a buyer's market. It's a slow market. It's a bad market. Well, we're investors. So for us, it's a good market. It's a buying opportunity. But only if you've either kept cash reserves or kept your relationships going with where you can borrow from. And so it's something to think about in advance. We may get another year, 2 years, 5 years before we have any kind of downturn, but it's something to start thinking about so you can make your plan in place, because when we have a downturn like this, that is where fortunes are made. That is when fortunes are made for those who pay attention and take advantage of it. So one of the big things, and I'm not going to sit here and yap at you all night, but one of the big things that really changed my mindset on this whole thing is after the bust, I started looking at the people who flourished, the people who did well, and mostly they were the older guys. They were the older guys who, they were lending me money. They've been in the business for 40, 50 years. They're 70, 80, 90 years old. They're loaning money and they're crushing it during the bust where everybody else was floundering. And the reasons were pretty much everything that I just laid out for you, because they've seen it all before. They had the high cash reserves. They all had their houses free and clear. All us new investors, what does everybody say? Oh, no, leverage, leverage, leverage. The older guys that have been doing this forever, they're like, nope, I would never have a mortgage paid off. And then when everything went to crap, they were the ones who made a fortune. So I want you guys to think about that moving forward so that if and when we have another slowdown, I shouldn't say if, but when, it could be years from now, but you're prepared for it and it doesn't come as a surprise to you. Not only prepared for it, but looking forward to it. Does that make sense? Looking forward to it, because in fact, it is going to be an unbelievable opportunity for you. So, I just wanted to put that out to you. I had 2 phone calls today, just today on it. And so I wanted to make sure to mention that to you. For those of you who are thinking about, oh, is there a downturn? Is it a good time to get in real estate? Yes, it is. It's a fantastic time. And so, but just keep these things in mind so that if and when it happens, we can address it. So I just wanted to see, I had a couple questions come up here. Well, this one just says, Dragon, the cycle is real. You're absolutely right, Dragon. It is. It is real. And you can go back to any point of history, It's about every 10 years. Now, we're going longer than that now because what are we in? 13 years. So it's they say it's one of the longest booms we've had without having a downturn. I'm praying for the downturn. I hear you because, myself included, we're prepared. And so we know that when it happens, we are going to do really well. I'm looking forward to it. What I want is for my people that, I coach a lot of people. And so I really stress and I want them to be prepared for it as well. So that if and when it happens, a year, 2 years, 5 years from now, they're ready to take full advantage of it. Hi, how you doing? All right. So this next one, yes, but it's about cash flow and not the gain. Dragon, you are absolutely right. It is about cash flow. Everything I do is for cash flow because there was a time where I was focused about having money in the bank, money in the bank, money in the bank. I had just about $1 million in cash when the bust happened. And then I spent it all trying to save everything. Before I ended up having houses go, I spent all my money, about $30,000 a month I was spending trying to save everything, and it didn't happen. The opposite is true. I could have had $0 in the bank, but if it was all cash flow every month, it doesn't matter. And so I have a whole different mindset now from what I used to have. If anybody else has a question, let me know right now. Otherwise, I will end this for you. But I just wanted to do this video for you because this is twice in one day. Somebody sent me a question about the bust or the downturn or slowdown that we have coming. And so I just did a podcast on it, and then I was thinking about it. It's a great topic to go ahead and do a video on because I know it's on a lot of people's heads right now, even though personally, I think we're going to get another 4 or 5 years. But again, who knows? Who knows? Nobody really knows for sure. We're just, we're all guessing, including the guys on TV that are telling you how the market is. Everybody's guessing. We don't know until it's actually done. Who do you recommend for hard money, Dragon? That's a good question, but I don't know, where are you located? If you're in my local market, we have lenders that we recommend. But if you're not, there's a company out there called Easy Button Lending, and I've been recommending them to everybody, Easy Button Lending, because they actually broker tons of different people's money. And so they have the best deal for each individual person. And I believe they can loan in all 50 states. So somebody else just said, when is your podcast? I don't do it as a regular time, and that's on me. I tried to do it every Monday. But you can just go right on to iTunes. It's The Ugly Truth About Real Estate Investing podcast, The Ugly Truth About Real Estate Investing. I try and put them out about once a week, but I don't have a definitive time, which I know I'm supposed to. I'm working on it. That's all I have for you guys. If anybody else had any questions, go ahead and put them in there now, and I'll take care of it. Otherwise, I will see you guys on the next video. So I think that was the last question. All right, guys, thanks for watching. And don't be scared over the next downturn. Look forward to it. It's going to be an opportunity. We don't know when it's going to be, but it is going to be an opportunity. So embrace it. Hang on. I got one more question that just came on. How about getting some sub-2 deals now? So let me talk about sub-2s, and I'm not going to get into a whole conversation on what sub-2s are if you guys aren't aware, but I will tell you this. A mistake I made prior to the bust was back then I would buy anything that anyone would finance, or if I can take over something sub-2, I was in. Fast forward now, I made a lot of mistakes back then, and I still know investors who do that exact plan now. Basically, they still do all of my old plans. They still teach it in the seminars that come in and out of town. They're teaching them to leverage and buy stuff sub 2 and make $100 a month cash flow. I will not. I buy sub 2, mind you, but I will not buy sub 2 unless it has the value. It still has to have value. Now, I may be trying to buy at 65% minus repairs. I may buy at 75, even 80% sub 2, but I won't buy at 95 or 100%. And I know people who do it. They'll buy anything. It's sub 2. They're like, hey, I can get it with $1,000 down. And I will not do that. It seems like a good idea the first month and first year, but it can go upside down real quick. And now you're paying for that. You basically took over someone else's mistake. So yes, absolutely great to buy sub 2s now, but I still have to be picky with them and not just buy anything that's presented to me. So I had one more here. Good evening. I need to learn the business. All right. Well, Robert, I can't teach it to you right now here today, but yes, you do need to learn the business. If you are not in this business yet, you are missing out. A year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, you're going to be kicking yourself that you didn't get started right now. So that's all I can tell you, Robert. You do need to learn the business, but you're in the right place. At least you're getting started, be it on YouTube, Facebook, talking in local groups. But you need to get that information, because the longer you wait to get started, the more you're going to regret it in the future. All right, guys, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching. And I'm going to start doing some more of these Facebook Lives. So I hope that you like them, and see if, or we're on YouTube too, a YouTube Live. It's some new software that I really like. I was seeing how it was working out. I hope you guys like it. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them for me. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one. Have a fantastic evening.